I watched the Kaidan Suite performance on DVD, and I noticed that the setting was very unique, and the there was like drapery and people were around in a circle, and the music was actually itself was very, very creepy. And as I was listening to it and watching it, I started to get like goosebumps and like feeling not very, very quite, I guess, disturbed as I go through the album. So can you tell us a bit about the performance and about this circle?
Well, my collaborator for that was Tomi Tsunoda, who teaches theater at NYU, and her father was Japanese and was a famous collector and dealer of ukiyo-e. So I don't know if you knew that, but her family owns like art galleries in Tokyo. But her mother, who was American, was an academic who was professor of Asian studies at Washington University, especially in Japan. So Tomi comes from a very unique background. One, she's half Japanese, half American, so she's already got sort of the blend that the Kitsune Ensemble embodies, in her blood and bones. But she has experienced both very traditional Japanese culture because of her family, her father's background, and her mother's academic knowledge of Japan. But mostly her theatrical productions are very experimental Western theater. So it was, the settings were basically her ideas, her stagings. But we, definitely wanted to capture that mood of diminishing light. We also borrowed the idea from kabuki theater, the kuroko, which are the stagehands that move props around and reconfigure the stage. But in traditional kabuki, you're not supposed to be aware of their presence. They're shrouded in black and anonymous. But there's a famous film from the 60s, Double Suicide, directed by Shinoda, where he took the kuroko out in front of the camera and used them as actual performers interacting with the actors. And we found that that notion of exposing the stagecraft and not trying to keep it hidden. Like, rather than the lighting just mysteriously changes by someone off stage, it's like actually having someone carrying the light, moving it, and reframing the light. But we also wanted to have that experience of telling a ghost story. So we had the audience sit in a circle surrounded by the musicians in the set. So it wasn't like just an audience, with a void between the musicians and the audience. Like they were participants, as though they'd gathered on a hot summer night in Japan to tell ghost stories. So, but I credit to Tomi. Those are all her inspirations.
Mm-hmm. So how did you guys feel playing in that setting?
We've been briefed about what it's about. I was familiar with the Kaidan from one of my favorite movies by Kobayashi called Kwaidan, which are certain of these Kaidan ghost stories put into a movie. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. So to be a part of that and to really tell the story and to watch people's reactions as the lights go down, like it's as the tale goes on, everything gets darker and the story gets darker as well. So taking people on that ride and just kind of attacking them with that music at the end is just great. A very visceral reaction from everybody, and you just know that you've touched them in some way and you've given them something that they're going to talk to their friends about. Like, you have to experience this. This isn't just music. This is a full experience.
Yeah, this scene is actually really upsetting for me, because it's really just it's not just old story that's done deal. It's representing what the typical Japanese culture had been and still is in some other form now. So it is really emotional for me to play. So I try not to think too much about it when I actually play. But it's still it's something that needs to be told. Just there's some history in American culture that needs to keep being told. So I really respect that Billy, being American guy, choose this topic to start off the Kitsune Ensemble. So I really respect that, and I'm so glad that lots of audience had chance to experience that.
So what's next for the Kitsune Ensemble? Where do you see yourselves in 10 years?
Well, I would love to be a regularly touring group with the full stage production. I have sketches for several other suites, all narrative-based music for this group. But most of those are contingent on my going to Japan and doing research to authentically do these pieces. And I've been extremely, maddeningly close to getting some funding to do that. First runner-up for a couple of grants that would have really completely funded that research. So I'm doing a lot of grant writing and trying to get cultural organizations to see the benefit of my work and this group, and get to Japan, write some more pieces, expand the reputation of the Kitsune Ensemble so we can get better bookings in other cities. I'd love to tour internationally, and I'd love to especially bring this to Japan and just see what the reaction is.
Kitsune Ensemble, thank you very much for joining our program. For the audience, would you mind playing one of your songs for them?
Would you guys mind? Yeah. Okay, let's do it.